What's good, my people? In this video today, I'm going to be doing a preview of the Sixers' first round matchup against the Brooklyn Nets. Now, essentially, I'm going to be doing a scouting report on the Nets, pros and cons, areas in which we could take advantage of the Brooklyn Nets, areas in which they could exploit us, and overall just weighing up how good of a matchup this could be. I do anticipate us taking it in 6, us being the Sixers, because this is essentially a Sixers channel. But who knows? But please, this was a fun video to make. Please like the video, share, subscribe, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. So comparing team stats, before I get into it, please take this with a grain of salt, because the postseason is a completely different ballgame to the regular season. But overall, we are evenly matched. Like points per game, we are 2 points per game higher. Assists per game, we're the same. Rebounds per game, we're 0.4 higher. Full goal percentage, we're the damn same. 3-point percentage, I couldn't even believe it. We're first in the NBA, but only about 1% higher. And just everything else in general, I can't be bothered to read the rest. It's just very, very similar. So this could really be an interesting matchup to watch. However, the Nets have a couple of players in which I'm very scared could hurt this Sixers team. And I'm pretty sure you know who the first one may be. It's this man right here, Mikal Bridges. Damn it, we drafted him and traded him for Zaire flipping Smith. Let's not get into that. But so far in BK, he's been averaging 26.1 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.7 assists on amazing efficiency of essentially 48% from the field and 37.6% from 3. Now, he's been deadly, and I feel like he could kill us in a few ways. I'm going to get onto that later on in the video, but he's a high-level scorer, especially from the mid-range. His mid-range percentage has been around 50%, and he's taken at a great volume too. We all know defensively he's a DPOY candidate on his day, and this season has been an elite defender. His switchability on the end of the floor is something that could really hurt us, because he can guard a Harden, a Maxey, but also switch onto a wing like a Tobias, who can really guard 1 through 4, and he's a legit defender. He's a good shooter. We know he can shoot off the catch. He can kind of create his own shot, and his efficiency is through the charts. Mikal can really hurt you on not that many shots, and it's something we're going to have to really, really watch out with, because he's developed his handle and overall looks like a mini version of KD. Maybe not to that extreme, but I'm telling you right now, this guy's a walking bucket. But I understand a couple of fans might be, the Nets have a team full of high-level role players, not really many facilitators, but there's one guy that's really surprised me, and that is Spencer Dinwiddie. Now, essentially, he's more of a scorer, but in Brooklyn, he's really become a facilitator. Like, so far in BK, he's averaging 16.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 9.1 assists in Brooklyn, which is by far a career high. Even though his shooting splits have been poor and he's been struggling scoring the ball, he's really adapted his game and become into a playmaker. A bit how the Wizards wanted him to become, but it didn't really work out there. But over his last 10 games, the guy's averaging like 13 assists. I like the way Jock Vaughn's kind of incorporated him into becoming a pure point guard. And it's something we're going to have to really watch out for, because even though he struggles scoring the ball, Dinwiddie's been an elite facilitator for that squad, my bad, and applies a lot of pressure towards the rim. He's also a solid long defender, around 6'5", 6'6". So he's someone with a nice amount of two-way ability that we're going to have to look out for. Now, don't anticipate his scoring numbers to be this bad, because we all know Spence has the ability to be a great scorer. In Dallas, he was shooting around 40% from the 3. So he's definitely a competent 3-point shooter, and we shouldn't rely on him to continue this shooting slump, because he does have a lot of talent. Now, other key players to mention, because this Brooklyn Nets team isn't just a team of 4 or 5 players or 2 players. They have a lot of high-level role players that can do some serious damage. One of which being Seth Curry, who used to be on our roster, but Mr. Ben Simmons made him go in the James Harden trade. But he's more than just a spot-up shooter. He's been a great bench scorer for their team. He's been getting a few less minutes than I would have expected, but in his limited role, he's been a great shot creator off the bench, whilst obviously being a sniper. His last name is Curry, so we should know that. And Joe Harris, I feel like he's one guy we could exploit on the defensive side of the ball, but he's still a sniper when it comes to leaving him wide open from the catch and shoot situations. So he's been a good shooter off the bench. Cam Johnson, like always, brings energy on both ends of the floor, and he's been a good scorer. He also has some shot making ability about him too, so he's someone I look out for. And Nick Claxton. So I believe when we played Brooklyn, he did slightly slow down Embiid. It's funny how slowing down Embiid is like 27 and 18 rebounds, but nonetheless, he still did that. And I feel like Nick Claxton is someone who could really give us a bit of issue, but at the end of the day, Embiid is the MVP of the league, so I don't expect him to be too worrying. But he's still a great interior defender and could hold our field goal percentage in the paint to being quite low. And Dorian Finney-Smith, although his three ball has not been going in, he's not been hitting the three ball at a good clip, he's still a very good two-way player, an athletic wing, and that's the type of player the Sixers struggle with. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes, but they do have a lot of role players that could hurt us. Now the wild card right here is Cam Thomas, because he's not really being Coach Vaughn's rotation as of recently. I know he dropped 46 against our backups, but that's irrelevant. But if he gets minutes, I'm really worried, because we struggle with that type of player, a guy that can just come off the bench and be a flamethrower and score the ball. We usually do not have an answer to that because our perimeter defense is quite frankly terrible. So hopefully Cam Thomas doesn't get too much run, but he's someone who I feel like can really cause some damage on the offensive side for the Brooklyn Nets if we do not have a good defensive scheme. Now, we have to touch on areas the Brooklyn Nets could possibly exploit this Sixers team. So one thing that's been an issue with this squad is exposing us if we run drop coverage of screens. Now, they have two elite mid-range scorers. Seth Curry is around 50% from the season, and Mikal Bridges, he's around 52%. If anything, why am I explaining? Let me show you guys real quick here. So look, right here against our Sixers, it's very easy to see what's going on right here. So Embiid is one of the best rim protectors in the league. So what does Nick Claxton do? They try to drag him out of the paint. So he sets kind of a ghost screen, which is enough to get the switch onto Embiid, onto Mikal Bridges. So Embiid stuck into two minds right here. Mikal's a very good three-point shooter, so I have to stay high. But at the same time, he's a great rim runner and a great slashing towards the rim, so he has to play a bit of both roles. So Embiid right here stays in between, but Mikal senses that, takes a bit of a pound dribble, sidestep, pulls up, easy mid-range for him to knock down. Now, here, same thing. PJ's anticipating Mikal to go right. He steps left, leans into him, could be an offensive foul, but Embiid could ideally step up and PJ follow the roller in Claxton, but he doesn't, and that leaves a wide open mid-range for Mikal Bridges. Now, here's even more excessive for Seth Curry. So right now, Seth goes right, ignores the screen. Seth then comes back here, Claxton hits him on the screen. Embiid has to step up and has to be higher here because that's just the layout for Seth Curry. We already know this because he was on our team. At the end of the day, he's a Curry brother. So that was a wide open mid-range right here, which wasn't even contested. That late closeout's not going to do nothing. Now, if you guys remember, in this series right here, how did we get smoked? The drop coverage, and Kemba Walker was feasting from the mid-range. Now, if we keep doing this and allow a guard of this ability to have a wide open mid-range from the elbow, same as Mikal Bridges, we're going to get cooked because that's exactly how he went home in that Boston Celtics series in 2020. So we can't allow that to happen again. So back to my presentation, we can't run drop coverage. My bad if I was stuttering slightly, but you get what I'm trying to say. Now, another area they could exploit is getting favorable switches onto Tyrese Maxey or George Niang. You know how much I love Maxey, but he's undersized and there is areas in which you could pick on him, same as George Niang. He's a good shooter, but Doc sometimes overplays him, which leaves him susceptible to be getting exposed on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully Doc senses the Niang issue and puts Jalen McDaniels in. However, with Maxey, he's such an important player to the point where he's going to have to be on the floor for 38 minutes maybe. So there's going to be avenues for the Brooklyn Nets to put him in pick and roll situations and get him switched onto a Mikal Bridges, which is going to be a nightmare, but we're going to have to find ways to kind of double team Mikal or just avoid and hide Tyrese Maxey defensively. Now, another thing which they will do is front Embiid, a bit how the Miami Heat did in their series against us, which is essentially blocking Embiid from getting an entry pass to the paint and forcing him to come out to the perimeter to have the ball. Now, that could also force us to run more perimeter action, which is vital on how James Harden is. If James Harden's healthy, that's not going to be a problem. But if he's not healthy, that's really going to stagnate our offense and force a lot of Embiid ISOs from the top of the key, which I don't necessarily like as our go-to play. So there's not really many areas the Brooklyn Nets could exploit us. However, there are a couple of concerns. Now, areas we could absolutely annihilate the Brooklyn Nets is getting Nick Claxton into foul trouble. He's a very good defender. However, Embiid is a master at getting guys into foul trouble. And on top of that, the Nets backup big play isn't very good. Like, they signed Nerlens Noel, but you really want Nerlens Noel guarding Embiid, then Day'Ron Sharpe. Like, let's be serious now. So if you get Claxton into foul trouble, they're going to be in a whole heap of trouble, and that's very possible because Claxton also is very prone to fouling. Now, a lot of Harden and Embiid pick and run, pick and pop, and force Claxton out of the paint. So Claxton was, for some part of the season, a DPOY candidate, which is Defensive Player of the Year, and that's because he's such a good interior presence. One thing he doesn't really like doing is coming out of his comfort zone and being switched onto the perimeter. So if you're running a lot of Embiid pick and rolls, or when Embiid pops out to the elbow, you're forcing Claxton to come out of his comfort zone and step out of the paint, which could lead to a backdoor cut from Tyrese Maxey, for example, with Claxton out of the paint, and just forcing Claxton to guard someone out who can move force Claxton out of the paint to guard someone like Embiid, and I don't really think he's very capable of doing that. Now, one thing we should do, because it's happened to us in the playoffs, especially against the Atlanta Hawks, is pick on Seth Curry. Curry defensively is non-existent. He's a bad defender. We should be abusing that Harden Embiid pick and roll. Get Seth Curry switched on to Get Seth Curry switched on to James Harden where possible and expose Seth Curry defensively. That's one thing that we have to do. If Cam Thomas gets minutes, he's a bit 50-50 because he may not play. Same thing with him. Expose Cam Thomas defensively because they have so many wings. Finney Smith, Bridges, Cam Johnson, that can all defend. Spencer Dinwiddie, who's a guard. So the few weak points they have defensively, it's very, very important we expose them and exploit them and try to generate as many points to the point where they have to be off the floor. Now, that's all I really got for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a pleasure making this video. I did stutter a couple times. I did make a few mistakes, but at the same time, it's all in one take. I don't really care. I'm going to learn and improve day by day. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please leave a thumbs up. Let me know let me know what you guys want to see next, what kind of content you want to see next. But that's it for this video. I'm damn out of breath. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay blessed and I'm out. Peace.